How are you guys? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Have any of you guys ever seen me before or heard of me? Ever seen? Raise your hand if you have. Okay. A fair group amount of people who have seen me before. My name is Jonathan Jones. My fight name is John Bones Jones. I am a 8-time world champion with the UFC. So I am a bona fide badass. I beat up people for a living. It's my job, and I love it. To become a UFC fighter, I had to first start by having a dream. My dream was to be a fighter. And in order to make that dream come true, I had to figure out how to set goals and how to accomplish goals. So some of my goals were to make sure that I eat really healthy. Some of my goals was making sure that I went to bed early so that I would have energy to train. My goals were to make sure that I studied as best as I can. I want to talk to you guys about consequences for your actions. I want to talk to you guys about overcoming situations, turning negative situations into positive. I had to have a lot of goals to make my dreams come true of being a fighter. Do you guys have any dreams? I became the first fighter sponsored by Nike. I was sponsored by Gatorade, EA Sports, Reebok. You know, my life was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. What's your dream?
I want to open wildlife reserves in Africa.
What's your dream?
Professional basketball player.
Professional basketball player. Do you have a dream?
I do is to become a radio show host.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. All right, so who all heard about the car accident I got into? Oh, okay. I think it's really cool because my dream was always to be a really good fighter. And that's what I do for work. And I am today a really, really good fighter. So I'm a living proof that whatever you dream, no matter how silly it is, that you can be it and you can do it. If you put your mind to it, you set goals and you work really, really hard. But now there's a new guy wearing my belt, a guy named Daniel Cormier, walking around calling himself the champ. Why? Because I beat myself. I lost my belt. I lost my endorsements. I lost respect. I embarrassed my family. One day my kids are gonna grow up and read about this. One thing that I would never ever be is a bully. I would never ever use my awesome fighting skills to hurt anybody else because I hate bullies. I hate watching it. I hate being around it. I think it stinks and I think it really needs to go away forever. So if you guys are ever faced with a situation where you know you're getting ready to do something that maybe you're not necessarily proud that you're getting ready to do, please do not pull, I'll call it a John Bones Jones. Don't do what I did. If there's a situation that you know that you can avoid, please think twice. Don't do what I did because right now I am totally regretting what happened that day. Totally regretting it. I've set myself years backwards I just went. And it hurts, and it really sucks. And if I could save one of you guys from making a dumb decision like I did that day, then me talking to you guys right now is so worth it. So a lot of times when people are getting bullied, they're too afraid to stand up for themselves. So I think we owe it to our friends, which I hope all you guys are friends in here, right? Yes. We owe it to each other to protect each other. Last thing I want to talk to you guys about is turning around situations. Maybe some of you guys have done some things that you're not too proud of. Maybe you have failed a test or failed in sports, or maybe you stole something, or maybe you hurt somebody, or no matter what you've done to let yourself down, know that there is always tomorrow. There's always tomorrow, and there's always a way to make things better. Raise your hand if you hate bullies. All right. So, can you guys make me a promise? Can you promise that you will always protect your friends when you see them getting bullied?
Yes.
Awesome. I guess this place is bully free. Pinky square with all you guys. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys have learned something from my story. Thank you so much for your time.
1, 2, 3.
Good job. John Jones.
Very Hawani.
It is good to see you, my friend.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
It has been a while.
Yes, a long time.
Yes. Well, thank you for the time today. We're here in beautiful Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's been a long time coming, and a lot of people want to hear from you, so I appreciate the time greatly, as always. Let me ask you this right off the top. The last 6 months for you, how would you characterize them?
It has been eventful for sure. It has been a major learning situation. It's been a growing experience. I've learned so much. Yeah.
I noticed on your Twitter recently you said, "I've never been happier." And it's
Yeah.
amazing how, a crummy situation can lead to this happiness. Why have you never been happier?
Well, I've had the opportunity to just kind of reevaluate life, look at myself outside of, being this UFC champion, and just kind of get back to Jonathan Jones as a person, as a father, and not just this athlete. So, yeah, definitely appreciate the time away, and I do feel great.
Did you miss the spotlight at all? Did you miss, the events and fight week, training camp? Like, are you starting to long for that a little bit?
I would say it was a weird night watching Daniel and Anthony fight for my championship.
Right.
So, that was one of those moments where I was just like, oh my goodness, I should be in there. But outside of that moment, no, I really don't miss it that much. I've had really good times with the UFC, and I'm looking at everything else as just kind of like a major bonus to get back in there and put a cherry on top of an already great career. So yeah, that's where
But even though you don't miss it, you're ready to come back.
I am ready to come back. Yeah, I'm ready to come back. My suspension is over. I'm still young and in my prime. And I believe potential is one of the worst things to waste. And to be one of the top ranked fighters in the world and not be out there competing, it would be sad. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna get back in there and stay true to my gift.
We've had the privilege of following you today, watching you talk to young kids, interacting with kids. And I know you have to do these things right now, but I'm wondering if you enjoy it, because from my perspective, it seems like you're having fun. There's a smile on your face, they're asking you fun questions. Do you like this process?
Yeah, I like it a lot. Even though it's community service and, court ordered, every time I go in there, I'm talking to these kids and everything comes from the heart. And, every appearance I've been, improvised, and whatever I'm reading from that audience, I give it to them. And I've had lots of parents come up to me afterwards, and teachers, and just, hey, thank you so much. What you're saying is right on time for this age group, or, these kids need to hear that encouragement. So it's awesome, man. I feel as if I'm a really good guy to do this type of work, because I've had a lot of experience. I've been through a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and I think the people can tell that it's real.
I know you've done it around 30 or so times at this point.
Yeah, 28.
28 to be exact. I'm happy you're counting. Is it hard for you? Because I know at first, like even with the media talking, like you didn't really love doing press conferences and interviews.
Right.
This might be helping that along the way, but is it hard to speak in front of a public like that and really pour your heart and soul out?
Yeah, it's different. It's different for me to do this, but in a way it's therapeutic. Every time I get to talk to these kids and talk to them about, the way the things I did wrong, the things I did right, it's like, it just reminds me of the way things should be, and the mindset people should have, and things like that. Like a lot of times when I'm talking to these kids, I'm talking to myself in a way. And it's just been awesome for me to grow. It's been a blessing in disguise to be going through this.
Is it a little surreal? Because I noticed you say a couple times, don't make the same mistake I made. Look at me as a cautionary tale.
Right.
So you've become that tale now. I'm sure you didn't want to become that tale, but this is the way life goes. And your story isn't finished, but this is where you are right now. Is that a surreal thing for you to come to terms with, or are you already at peace with that?
I'm at peace. I'm at peace with, the trouble that I've gotten into and the bad decisions I've made. And as you can see, when I'm talking to the kids, I tell them, hey, you don't want to go the John Bones Jones route. You want to do things better. And it's just, it's the truth. I made the wrong decision, and it's something that I live with every day. It's pretty public, and And ultimately, the reason why I'm there is to prevent somebody from, making such a terrible decision or making a bad decision in general. I just think I think I'm the perfect example of somebody who had so much and was doing so much well, so much good, and ruin it.
Here's the difference, in my opinion, between your story and so many others we've seen in sports and pop culture. Usually, the celebrity in question is telling these stories about "don't be like me" when it's all said and done, when they've lost their money, when they're not. You're still in the prime of your career.
Right.
The world still considers you, for the most part, the greatest of all time. They still consider you the best fighter living today. That's the difference. Do you recognize the fact that when this is all said and done, this could be a footnote in your story and not what defines you, because it's only happening relatively soon in your career?
Right. Yeah. In a way, I'm grateful because I get to recognize my mistakes. I get to assess what's made me, not necessarily the best role model. I get to, assess that and I get to alter that. And then I get an opportunity to go back into the game and do things better, become, a better role model and a better athlete. It's like I got to retire almost and like get back in the game still young enough, fresh enough to have some serious, have a serious future, serious longevity. So yeah, it's great to have this awakening, but still be in my physical prime to actually go back and do something about some of the things that I've let myself down on in the past.
All right, so let's talk about April 25th.
All right.
UFC 186 was that night in Montreal, and I believe you were watching it with some friends, some training partners, right? Here in Albuquerque?
Yeah.
Tell me about that night.
Well, that night I was watching the fights at Twin Peaks with a whole bunch of guys that were in town. Had a great night. Ended up going to a bar afterwards. Drank quite a bit. Had a good time with the boys. After that, got a ride to a house party. Drank a little bit more, and I decided to stay the night there.
You were a month away from fighting Anthony Johnson at that point.
Yeah.
The UFC 187.
Yeah.
Was that common for you? Sometimes I hear athletes don't touch alcohol, things like that.
Yeah.
Fighters, especially a month before a fight. Was that common for you?
Yeah, it was common for me. I was a guy who loved to party, man. I was able to win my fights, and I felt as if it really wasn't affecting me that bad. I would go out on the weekend, and then Monday morning I'd be the first guy to practice, working harder than everybody else. So I felt as if I can get away with that.
At some point, did you say to yourself, it's unbelievable that I'm winning these fights, dominating these this way, I'm the greatest of all time, and I'm still doing this? Like, what if I didn't party and drink before my fights? How much better would I be? Did you ever think of that?
Yeah, I thought about it. It crossed my mind. I had a lot of my mentors, coaches, and friends tell me that, like, John, you party with the best of them, and you still are able to beat the top fighters in the world. But at the time, I really didn't feel as if it was an issue. I was winning my fights. I finished half my opponents since I've been a champion, and I've only had only very few guys have gone decision with me. Those guys are some of the top guys in light heavyweight history. So I just I felt no pressure to really stop being such a wild guy because of how well everything was going.
Was there a fight in particular where you really, you didn't play by the rules in the sense that, like, any normal fighter would be completely off his game if they partied this much or stuff before a fight, but yet you were so good, your talent rose to the occasion, when in reality the fight should have been a lot easier, but you almost made it hard on yourself?
Yeah.
Were there instances like that?
Absolutely, and it was honestly Alexander Gustafsson.
Really?
Yeah, leading up to that fight, everybody was like, he's like John Jones, he's just like John Jones. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, he's like me, but he's not me. So it's like a knockoff of the actual the actual product, like the actual guy or whatever. I had a lot of fun that camp. I just, in no way, shape, or form that I feel as if he had what it took to beat me. And sure enough, you know, after round 2, I was pretty gassed out. That's my first time in my whole career being tired in the second round, and it just went to show that my cardio, my focus, you know, everything, it just wasn't there. Which is crazy that I actually won the fight, because I'm sure he gave that training camp everything he had, and he still didn't have what it took to beat me in those championship rounds. So it taught me a lot about myself, and honestly, it was a part of the problem, because I mean, I partied my tail off for Gustafsson, almost lose, but obviously still win the fight, and I won the fight knowing I didn't deserve to win that fight. So that really was what led me to taking things, you know, not taking anything seriously. I was just like, you know, my heart carried me through that fight.
Right.
So, I mean, I really developed the attitude of like, all right, I can have fun and still do my job.
Was there a point in that fight or after that fight where you were like, what am I doing? Like in the fight where he's like roughing you up, you're getting cut for the first time and all that, are you saying to yourself, why did I do this to myself?
I knew going into the fight that I wasn't in the right shape that I needed to be in.
Were you freaking out at all before?
You know what, I did. I experienced a lot of different emotions. A lot of questioning myself, a lot of just talking to myself about, you know, all right, John, here we go. You know, let's see what you're actually made out of. You know, this is a world championship. You know, I remember how far I came and all the miles I've run and all the mental things I went through to get myself to being a champion. And I thought, you know, I pretty much saw it all going away, and I just kind of developed like, oh hell no, like it's not happening, you know. And I found something inside to just be that ounce better than him when I needed to be, and it came through for me.
Okay, so back to April 25th. So you're saying you're having a great night. It's after UFC 186.
Right.
You know, you're hanging out with your friends and everything, and of course, you get in your car.
Right.
You get into a car accident.
Right. Yeah. So
what happened?
The whole situation was crazy. I went to a party. You know, a lot of heavy drinking going on. You know, I go to bed thinking, obviously, you don't drink and drive. None of my friends would allow me to you know, get another DWI. So I go to bed and I wake up the next morning. Everybody's gone from the house party, and my boy and his wife is there. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, this guy has a kid and a family. I probably should leave this party. Well, it's obviously not a party anymore. So I get in my car, and was definitely still really tired. Get in my car, you know, and you know, I remember being at a red light, had my music going, texting on my cell phone, and you know, I see like the light turn green, and I assumed that it was my green light, but really it was a green light for, you know, people that were going straight in traffic, and I was actually turning. So I just stepped on the gas when I saw the green light, and I find myself driving right into ongoing traffic, and yeah.
Did you get hurt?
I didn't get hurt. I didn't get hurt, no.
So it was a 3-car accident, right?
Yeah, I think I hit one car, and then that car collided into another car.
Do you remember what was going through your mind when you got into the accident? Like, were you aware, like, what have I done? Like, what were you saying to yourself? What were you thinking?
You know, it all happened so fast.
Yeah.
Initially, I knew I messed up big time. I started thinking about, well, first I realized I wasn't hurt.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think subconsciously I just figured, all right, nobody's gotten hurt. You know, I'm not hurt. Maybe we didn't hit that hard. I just thought to myself, man, I went out last night. I haven't been home yet. I probably still smell like the night before. I need to get myself out of here. You know, this is gonna be terrible. This is gonna be messy. I gotta go. I was afraid, man. I freaked out, and I was afraid to talk to the police at the time. So I just thought, let me get myself away from this. So.
Was there a point where you thought that might be a bad idea and you should come back?
Well,
or was that way down the line? Like in the moment as you're running, you're like, do you feel like, okay, you know, you've already committed to this?
It man, it all happened so fast. You know, you know, people say I ran back to the scene for money and all this type of stuff, making it sound like I like, you know, ran around the corner or ran around the block and came back, and that never happened. You know,
That's not accurate.
That's not accurate at all. No, I mean, why would I need to grab some cash? My money's in CDs, investments, and shit like that. You know? I just had tunnel vision, man. I definitely hit hard, and I'm sitting here thinking, all right, I need to go. I need to get away from this. So I started running, and I got like maybe 5 yards away from my car, and I remembered I had a bowl, a marijuana bowl, and my cup holder. And so I knew that, you know, if the police found that bowl in my car, then everything was going to be so much worse than what I thought it should be, I guess. And so I ran back, I glanced at my cup holder, the bowl had flown somewhere in the car, and I just took off running again. I really had no clue what I hit. I didn't know if it was a car or a truck. I didn't know if it was a man or a woman. I just, like my vision was so like narrowed in, and I just knew I needed to run as fast as possible. The whole ordeal, I'm trying to say, lasted for like, I don't know, 15, 16 seconds.
Right.
And it was the worst, you know, 16 seconds of my life.
So when you...
My career, for sure.
Did you talk to anyone? Or were they in their cars?
I ran, I called a friend, and they took me to a hotel.
Oh, I meant at the accident site.
No, I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't see anyone.
Was it dark at night?
No, it was in the middle of the day.
Okay.
I'm telling you, but between the impact of the hit and just my initial feelings of me needing to get out of there, you know, which was where everything went wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't see anybody. You know, I didn't find out that it was a woman in the accident until I got to the hotel when, you know, my wife called me, my business partners called me, and was just like, John, what happened? Like, what did you do today? And, you know, one of the roughest, you know, moments of my life.
So when you left the scene, where did you go?
I went to a hotel.
Okay.
I had a friend pick me up. And,
you called your friend up?
Yeah, I called a friend. They picked me up, took me to a hotel. And, yeah, we just sat there. And, you know, my wife was one of the first people to call me and was like, John, you need to Google your name. And sure enough, like maybe half an hour after the whole ordeal was over, TMZ had picked it up and all these, you know, huge media outlets. And I sat there and I cried for the whole day, man. I really thought that my career was over. I knew that this wouldn't be a light situation. So yeah, it was a long day for me. It's probably one of the most depressed I've been in probably ever.
So at what point do you go back home?
I stayed the night at the hotel.
Okay.
I called myself a lawyer, and just kind of went over everything that had happened. And I was home the next afternoon.
So as you probably knew by then, this was everywhere. They said they were looking for you and all this. This became like this whole thing.
They weren't looking for me.
They knew exactly what was going on?
Yeah, at no point was I hiding from the police. I had a lawyer, and we were trying to get everything together, just figuring out what actually happened and everything. And as soon as the police issued a warrant, I was literally, we called within that hour, and I was in the police station like an hour and a half later. So there was no hiding or game plan on our part. I think I did what anybody would do in that situation, which is hire proper representation, and just do what was protocol.
When you found out that there was a pregnant lady who was injured, what was your reaction to that?
It scared me. It really scared me because I started thinking about the fact that I could go to jail for the rest of my life. I didn't know how the baby was gonna, I didn't know if the baby was gonna be fine. I didn't know how far pregnant she was. People said she broke her arm. And, honestly, I was miserable. I was extremely depressed. I was just thinking about the fact that I could never see my kids again and my wife again. So it was a lot for me. At that time, I wasn't even thinking about fighting again. I was just thinking about, my freedom being taken away.
Considering all that, did it ever get to the point where, you know how it gets in these situations, did you think about just leaving? You know what I'm saying? Just
Like-
ending all of this. Did it get to that point for you?
Like suicidal?
You know, these things happen. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no way. You know, in my religion, we don't do the suicide thing.
Okay.
But no, I never thought about anything like that, man. I just felt like I knew I was gonna have a long road ahead of me. You know, financially, legally, you know, in every aspect of my life. Explaining this to my family, my coaches, you know, all the people I've let down. It was just very clear to me, you know, how far I had set myself back.
So when you get to the station, what's that like for you? I mean, as far as what's playing in your mind, this is all becoming very real. Did you actually go in a cell?
Yeah, I was in a cell
For how long?
for maybe 2 hours.
What was that like?
It was a terrible feeling, man. It was a terrible feeling. You know, I had just like a week earlier, I was in a different, I think I was in a different country at like a 5-star hotel, you know, doing work. And to go from, you know, such a great spot in life to be in a jail cell with an orange uniform on, it hurt. It hurt. I actually had a little bit of a like anxiety attack while I was in there. It really messed me up for a second. Yeah.
Were you alone in there?
Yeah, I was alone.
Okay. And how did they treat you?
They treated me fairly respectfully. You know, everything I did was yes sir, no sir. You know, I didn't look for any special treatment or anything like that. I pretty much did what everybody else would have to do. Caught one guy taking a video.
Really?
Yeah, I asked, you know, a supervisor to kind of see what that was about. I think that got erased. But outside of that, everything, you know, I felt like I was just one of the guys in there.
Were you aware of what was going around, you know, surrounding you, the cameras and the local news here in Albuquerque?
Yeah.
You knew what kind of a deal this was, right?
Yeah, I knew it was a big deal. Yeah, I knew it was a big deal. I knew it was going to be huge.
There's a term called, you know, scared straight. Do you think that was the moment for you? Like, was that the moment where you said, okay, this is going to be a long road, but this is my turning point. This is rock bottom for me. This is when this is the moment that needs to wake me up and change my life. Were you thinking like that?
No, honestly, the way I was thinking was I kind of thought about throwing in the towel. And you asked me, you know, the question, and you were kind of hinting towards like suicidal. No way. But I thought about throwing in the towel as far as giving up on everything, as far as being in the public light. You know, I thought to myself, let me figure this out for myself. You know, delete my Twitter, delete my Instagram. You know, never have to answer a question again for anybody, and just delete this. You know, and just handle this thing with my family. You know, I felt as if I had a Hall of Fame MMA career already, and you know, I just started thinking I got nothing else to prove. I've beaten everybody. I've seen great things in life. You know, I've traveled the world and stuff. I'm over. I'm done. You know, I just screwed my career, and I'm gonna hang it all up here and focus on myself. You know, get back close to God and you know, focus on my family and that was my mindset for quite a while.
So just a couple of days later, that's when Dana White, Lorenzo Fertitta, Lawrence Epstein came to meet with you, right?
And actually, it wasn't a couple of days later. They came quite a few months later. Yeah, right after my court date.
Didn't they come initially?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
So did you tell them that?
Yeah,
you say,
I did tell them.
I'm done? Is that why they took the belt away?
I think that had something to do with it. You know, initially
Can you tell us about that meeting? Because that seemed like a real turning point for you.
Yeah, so in the meeting they came, they asked me how I was feeling, and I really felt like they were getting ready to ask me, you know, was I still going to take the fight or not. I told them that I wasn't interested in fighting. I told them that I've been wanting a break from fighting for quite a while, and I told them that I didn't feel as if I could really focus on my fight with so much lingering over me. I knew a fight week for me would be hell. I knew the fans weren't going to give it to me the way I deserved it, and I didn't really have the courage to go through that at the time. So yeah, I told them that you know, they do whatever you guys have to do. So they told me that you know we're probably gonna strip you of the title and suspend you indefinitely. I said honestly, I could give a fuck. That's actually what I said. And so sure enough, they took the belt and they did what they had to do. And shortly after, it really hit me that I didn't have the belt anymore, and that was a long day for me.
So if you would have said, guys, I'm ready to go in a month, I want to take this fight, do you think you still would have been champion? You still would have fought Anthony? It was up to you?
I mean, obviously they would have the power to say differently, but I really have a feeling that if I was ready to fight, then they would have let me fight. Especially because the court date, there was no court date. I wasn't proven guilty of anything at the time, and I feel as if they would have let me fight for sure.
No secret that you kind of had your issues with the UFC for the last few years. Did you feel like they were coming? Obviously, they're your promoter, they work with you and stuff, but did you feel like, okay, these guys care for me, they're here to see if I'm doing well, they want me to eventually come back? Were you feeling that from them?
When they came to visit me the first time?
Yeah.
No, not really. No. No, not really. They had never came to see me before about anything. They've never traveled to come say hi or have dinner. The first time they came to Albuquerque to visit me was to take my belt away. So no, I didn't feel as if honestly, Lorenzo did seem like he really cared. Lorenzo seemed very genuine. Hold that, thanks. He looked me in the eyes the whole time and he was like, "How are you doing?" And at the time I didn't know how I was feeling. I was all over the place emotionally. But at the end of the day, it was a business meeting still, and it definitely wasn't one that went in my favor.
Did they tell you before leaving that they were going to take the belt away and
Oh,
suspend
yeah.
you?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so you didn't find out through the media?
Oh, no, they told me right then and there. They said, "You understand, that." They first asked me how I was feeling, and, and I told them I didn't want to fight.
Right.
And then they said, "Well, you understand, we're going to have to take the belt then." They didn't say it like that, we're going to have to take the belt then. But I do feel as if I would have been ready to fight, then I wouldn't have got suspended and my belt stripped away.
There were some people who said, man, why did they have to take the belt? Why not do an interim title? Why did they have to take you off the rankings, things like that?
Right.
Did you ever try to say, hey, why don't you just make this fight for the interim belt? Hopefully I'll be back. Let's figure it out. People have been out for longer. Did you try to convince them so that you can remain champion?
No, I didn't fight for it. Man. I had nothing to prove. That belt doesn't solidify who I am as a fighter. It doesn't. I've beaten the who's who's, and I needed the break, man. I really needed the break. I've been an entertainer since I was 19 years old, and since the day I joined the sport, people were already kind of hailing me as the new Anderson Silva and the future of the sport. So I've always had a little bit of an expectation on every fight that I've had, and so the pressure that I put on myself and the level I was fighting at, to get away from that belt for a while, it really set me free. And today I feel great, man.
So at that point, after they take away your belt and you're suspended, you had a brief appearance in court, but then you really disappeared. You didn't tweet, you didn't do anything socially. Yeah. It was, one person would say they saw you at the gym, but you really were off the map.
Yeah.
What were those days like for you when you were complete? What were you doing?
Man, honestly, they were, I was figuring out a lot about myself. I was enjoying not feeling like I had to keep people updated on what I was up to. I was enjoying trying to live as normal as possible, like trying to leave any level of celebrity behind. Just wasn't tweeting. I wasn't hiding or anything. I was taking my kids to the park.
Were a lot of people coming up to you here? It's a small community here in Albuquerque. Were people bothering you, or were they respectful?
At first, I felt as if I was getting stared at a lot. I felt like a lot of people recognized me from the guy from the news,
right,
instead of the guy who had, won all these world titles. Yeah, it took me a while to feel comfortable and confident to leave my house and face the people of the community. But I got to that point, and maybe 3 weeks after the accident, I really started to, go to Walmart again and go out to a restaurant with my family and stuff, and able to hold my head high and come to terms that, I'm not a monster. I just did made a terrible decision.
So it's funny you say that, because 4 weeks after the accident was UFC 187, the card you were supposed to, fight Rumble Johnson on. And I told everyone, as much as I was happy to be there in Las Vegas to cover that, I would have done anything to watch that fight with you, Cormier Rumble, just to see what you were thinking, to get in your mind.
Yeah.
Did you watch that fight?
Yeah, I watched it with my wife at home.
Was that difficult? That was your belt that they were fighting for.
Yeah, it was. was exciting.
It was exciting.
It was exciting.
Why exciting?
To see two light heavyweights who are now the top guys in the sport competing. For a while, I was the entertainer, not the guy who was being entertained. So I felt some sense of excitement to watch. It was bittersweet. You know, I knew that I deserved to be out there. And
Did it eat at you? Did you say, at any point, did it like set you back at all when they're talking about you not being the champion? None of that.
no, you know, throughout this whole thing, you know, me getting taken off the rankings and there's a new pound for pound champ and all that stuff. At the end of the day, if you're a hardcore fan, you know, you can't deny what I've done in the sport. So I never allowed that to affect my confidence and my abilities and what I had done in the sport. You know, to this day, I still feel as if, you know, I'm the best fighter in the UFC, even without the belt. So it doesn't change what I've done. I mean, what I've done really will last forever.
So Cormier wins the belt. Rogan asks him a question. He ignores it and just says to you, John Jones, get your shit together. I'm waiting for you.
Yeah, he messed up.
What do you mean?
He really messed up there. Because I took his advice. I got my shit together. Started eating healthy. Started working out. You know.
After that?
Well, I was well on my way to you know. Yeah, I think shortly after. I'm not sure the exact timeline, but yeah, for sure, I'm taking his advice.
Is it something where it's not just, you know, Rumble or some other light heavyweight? This is Daniel Cormier, a guy that you have a history with.
Right.
He's calling you out, and now he's parading with your belt and
Right.
calling himself the champion and saying that you let everyone. Like, he's trying to dig into that wound, obviously for, you know, his own reasons as well. He's trying to get you to come back. He wants to fight you. He wants to legitimize himself as champion.
Right.
Was that in a weird way a mistake on his part because because it was Cormier doing all this?
Right.
The guy you have a history with, did that just make it worse?
To be dead honest, I not really. You know, I'm not doing all this. I'm not seeking, you know, clarity and enlightenment and bettering myself and figuring out my life. I'm not doing all this for Daniel Cormier. I'm doing this for my legacy, my story. You know, the impact I have on athletes of the future. You know, my legacy is kind of in a ditch right now, and I have to save it for my kids, for fans, and I'm gonna do that. So whether he won the fight or lost the fight, you know, the actual opponent is just a pawn in this game. I know a big part of my redemption and my victory story is winning my next fight, no matter who it is. So, you know, DC he's no real added motivation. I've beat him already. You know, nobody that I've beat in the past is added motivation for me. I just got to win my next fight, no matter who it is.
At what point did you decide I'm coming back? Because you said at first you didn't want to come back.
Right.
Do you remember the moment?
I think I didn't want to come back initially because I was just so upset. I was upset with the backlash I got. And I definitely deserved the backlash that I got, but it hurt me to see my fellow fighters on the roster just, you know, bash me down. You know, reporters that used to praise me, you know, bashing me down. It just hurt. I felt like the whole industry had turned their back on me, and I wanted nothing to do with it. And the more time that went by, I realized that, you know, it's easy to kick somebody when they're down. And I kind of learned not to take it as personal, and to realize, hey, I put myself in this situation, and the best thing I can do to make myself feel better, to ultimately win, to ultimately not only win in life, but to defeat some of the people who's having so much pride in seeing me down, is to come back and be the guy that I used to be, but do it better. You know, win more titles, create even greater legacy that's going to be hard to top. And that's the best way to win at the end of the day, is success. And so now I'm getting ready to piss some people off with success.
Anyone in particular reach out to you and offer you, you know, some encouragement, some advice? Anyone maybe that you didn't expect that really stuck with you now 6-7 months later that wow, that was really cool of them to do? It really meant a lot to you?
You know what? Ronda Rousey definitely reached out to me. Conor McGregor has reached out to me. But yeah, Ronda has actually been very supportive of me. You know, she texted me quite a few times, man. She even invited me to come and and stay at her beach house in California. You know, said, John, you're gonna come back from this. You know, anything I can do for you, you let me know. You know, if you want to get away, I got a house, here. And not many people know where it's at or whatever, and it's your house until you get right. You know, so, stuff like that, man, just shows you, man, dude, this girl is on top of the world right now, and she's sitting here thinking about me in my darkest hour. That's something that I'll never forget. Conor McGregor wrote me, hey, champ, once a champ, always a champ, and, I believe you're going to come back from this strong, and just writing these words of encouragement. My teammates, they've been there for me, just inviting me, hey, John, come out with us, let's go watch a movie, let's go to dinner, trying to encourage me to just stay positive and keep moving forward. So yeah, my coaches, my management team, a lot of people believe in me, and just they know that I get fired up over adversity. I'm not a guy to crawl up in a ball and quit when things get hard. I'm a fighter, I'm optimistic, I'm resilient, and a lot of people just felt like, yo, John's gonna come back on fire, and sure enough, that's what I'm getting ready to do.
Are you still drinking these days?
No, I don't drink anymore. I don't smoke marijuana anymore.
How long has it been?
It has been maybe three or 4 months now.
Is it difficult?
It's not difficult, man. I'm honestly, I'm excited to be set free from that. It took me a long time to acknowledge that I had a little bit of a problem, because I was able to take care of my family. I was able to win fights. I was able to pretty much hide it from the world, and that I was, smoking pot and drinking 3-4 days a week. I was handling my life just fine, so I didn't think I had a problem. But now that I'm completely sober, I totally had a problem. And I'm upset about all the hours I spent being under the influence, and all the dollars I spent getting under the influence. And I'm set free from it. So yeah, the whole situation has really been a blessing for me. And I'm sure it's hard for most to understand that. But my life has changed for the better in so many different ways since this car accident. I'm grateful for it.
And this has been a wild year for you, because it started with the Cormier fight and the positive test, Nevada, the cocaine and everything. You did the interview afterwards, and as you know, a lot of people thought that maybe you weren't, were you telling us everything there? Were you telling us everything? I mean, was that a big part of your life?
With the whole thing, it's crazy with the cocaine thing. Ariel, I'll look you dead in your eyes. I don't like coke. I'm not a coke guy. I smoked marijuana quite frequently. And people who really know me, they know that about me. And I love to drink. I can honestly say I party with the best of them. But cocaine, I tried cocaine one night, and the athletic commission's there the next day. It was just like, how in the world did this just go down? How did it happen this way? So now people like to paint me as this cokehead, and my haters, of course, they would love for me to be a cokehead, but far from it. I would have never been able to accomplish the things I have with cocaine. But I was addicted to marijuana, and because you can do so much while being a marijuana addict, it's hard to admit that you're an addict. But I was, and now I'm not, and I feel set free, and I'm just so grateful for everything that's happened to me, because it's allowed me to see this and be more clear. Throughout my whole career, everybody said to me, John, what would happen if you didn't drink? You didn't smoke. Imagine how great you could be. And now I'm excited to see.
As you know, Nevada should have never tested you for cocaine, and on top of that, it should have never been made public.
Right.
You told me a month or so later, we were in New York, that you were considering your legal options there, because it did kind of tarnish you a little bit that this came out.
A little bit?
A lot. Okay. Yeah, a lot. I know you will still hear it till this day and beyond. Why did you never do anything about it?
I really don't want to get too deep into this whole situation. Hearing some of the things Nevada does, the way they penalized Nick Diaz for 5 years, the way they put my cocaine test to the public, I feel as if that commission needs some type of commission. I just feel like they can do whatever they want to whoever they want, and eventually someone's going to need to stand up to these guys and question their power, or at least figure out some type of rule to monitor what they can and can't do. Right now it just seems too loose. I have up to 3 years to sue them for what they did to me. they definitely ruined, you know, like I said, I had no right to be doing cocaine, but they had no right to be testing me for street drugs and then putting it out to the public. I hear about the cocaine thing more than I hear about anything else I've ever done in my career. So they definitely set me back huge, and let's just say I haven't forgot about it.
Okay. So you're still considering your options.
Absolutely.
Another thing that's come up recently, since of course you haven't been, you know, in the public eye, was the Vitor Belfort fight.
Yeah.
UFC 152.
Yeah.
There was a report that came out by Josh Gross that he, you know, allegedly had high levels of testosterone, and
The UFC knew about it?
that's what the report states. Now,
Yeah.
the UFC hasn't really commented all that much on it, but more importantly, people want to know what you think about this, because let's be honest, he almost snapped your arm in that fight. I mean,
Right.
you can make the case that that was your trickiest fight in a sense, because he almost.
Yeah, it was definitely a close call.
A, do you know about this? And
I totally understand what happened. Vitor Belfort was on steroids when I fought him. The UFC was very well aware way before the fight. They did nothing to penalize him. They let the fight go on, knowing that I was fighting a guy on steroids, which is a hazard to my life. And what do you do? What do you do? You know, what do you do? All right, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do about that yet. I haven't quite spoken to the UFC about.
Okay, you haven't brought it up?
I haven't brought it up to them yet, but I mean, the fans know. The fans know, and it's all, you know, all gets back to what I was saying about just the power of you know, the UFC and this athletic commission, and eventually something needs to be done about it.
What do you mean by that?
I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Now, do you want to talk to them about it? Like, is this something that you
I
need
will
to...
bring it up eventually, and
Okay.
I'm just interested to hear their explanation. You know, like, I'm just interested to hear their explanation.
Did you feel that night in Toronto that he was on something?
Well, his age and where he's at in his career, you know, I remember at the weigh-ins, I looked at his abs, and I'm like, dude, I'm like several years younger than you, and you look way tighter than me. And I knew I trained pretty hard for that camp, so you know, everybody's always speculated Vitor for being on steroids, but to know that they put me in there with him, knowing that he was on there, it's really a slap in the face.
Do you think that your relationship with them, the UFC, is still not repaired from the 151 situation? Do you still think that they hold resentment towards you?
I don't know if they hold a resentment towards me for it. I'm sure they do, because I'm sure they lost out on a few $1 million. But I really hold resentment on the way it was handled. You know, me being one of the top guys in their sport, their job to promote me is to try to make me look better. You know what I mean? And what I did was, I stayed true to everything that I worked for. You know, me being a champion, an undefeated champion, meant everything to my family. It's gonna mean something to my grandkids one day. All my coaches that train me, you know, just recently, Holly Holmes won her fight against Ronda because we have great coaches. We're a team that believes in studying and game plans. So for me to fight Chael Sonnen in an 8-day notice would be being untrue to myself, being untrue to my goals and my vision, my ideal for what my career is gonna be like. They wanted me to sacrifice everything that I work for the greater good of the company. And this is a dog-eat-dog world, man. I see so many fighters who, once they retire, they don't get jobs by the UFC. They don't get checks by the UFC. The UFC lets you go when they're done with you, for the most part. So why should I risk everything I've earned to fight Chael Sonnen in 8 days' notice? Any smart man wouldn't have done that. And instead of saying, hey, you know, I'm sorry, guys, but the fight fell through, you know, I'm sorry we didn't have a strong enough card to keep the fight going anyways. They blamed everything on me. It made me sound like a coward when I was fighting the greatest fighters that they had to offer. You know, made me sound selfish. They painted me in this picture of being richer than all the other fighters and entitled and spoiled, when really I was just trying to stay true to not only myself, but all the people that helped me get here. So I'll always hold that dear to my heart, the way they butchered me in the public. But it's just one of those things, man, you know. They let Vitor fight on steroids against me. UFC 151's all my fault. You know, it's just, I know I haven't been the greatest guy to work with in the past. I've made my mistakes, but they haven't quite showed me, hey John, we're here for you, and you know, we have your best interests at heart. So it's just, it is what it is. I gotta, you know, kind of swallow it, I guess.
So fast forwarding to around a month ago when they come your plea hearing, they were there, right? And I think that you met with them, and that led to your suspension being lifted. Did you have a moment to sit and talk? This could be a chance to say, all right, we're going to work together.
Right.
We're going to be a team again. We're going to do this the right way, all that stuff. Have you had that once it came to the moment where, all right, your suspension is going to be lifted at some point. You're going to be back. You're going to fight for that title.
Yeah, we had that moment. You know, I told them, hey, you guys, going forward, you know, I would like to make things better, be more of a company guy, and, you know, do things better. You know, they did, you know, they did what they could to help me. They, you know, like I said, Lorenzo always seems extremely genuine when he talks to me. I feel Dana, you know, he's a business guy. You know, I don't feel as if I'm not going to sit here and bash Dana. I think Dana's a business guy. Lorenzo's a business guy too, but he just comes across as more genuine to me. So I prefer talking to Lorenzo when I do business. I would like to be more of a company guy and do things right, you know, but at the same time, you know, I've been bent over quite a few times by them. So it's just like, it's hard to see where I stand, man. I just, you know, I hope that the fans are aware of some of the shenanigans they pull, and it is what it is, I guess.
Speaking of the fans, have you noticed something? It seems like DC gets a lot of hate. They call him the fake champion, the paper champion. He's parading
Well, he
around.
is.
Well, I'm just saying that's what the fans say, and it feels like the fans feel like you've been wronged, and all of a sudden you went from the guy that everyone criticized. They thought that you were entitled to all this stuff, and now you were the one that was taken off the rankings. You had your belt stripped. You were suspended, and I'm sensing that all of a sudden Jon Jones, who's still in my mind, and I'm not just saying it because you're here. I've said it plenty of other places. Is still the best of all time. Is now an underdog. Is now like this sympathetic figure. Have you noticed that? Are you in tune with that?
I don't feel like I'm a sympathetic figure. You know, I think some of the blessing that's come out of this is that, you know, my situation is relatable. You know, I think people really see for the first time that I'm extremely normal. You know, I can be a fuck up at times. I can, you know, I can struggle with drugs and alcohol just like anybody else. You know, I can make dumb decisions. You know, I think people just see that. I think everybody in their family, everybody has somebody in their family like me for the most part, you know? And at the end of the day, I believe, you know, Americans appreciate, respect a good comeback story. And, you know, like somebody said to me, they said, you know, second chances shouldn't be handed out. You know, they should be earned, you know? And so I'm just like, I'm this guy that's here getting ready to earn my comeback story, earn my respect back. And I think people just see that I'm trying.
As you know, your persona has always been a hot topic with the media. Is he the good guy? Is he the bad guy? Should he act this way? Should he act that way? Now
they call me fake, right?
Yeah, no, but now it feels like, and from today, and even just studying your Twitter and Instagram, you're being yourself. Even you were going back and forth with Daniel, and you know that thing from a couple of weeks ago. It just feels like you're saying, "F it, I'm going to be myself. Like it or leave it."
Yeah.
Is that part of your thought process now?
You know, I honestly, I don't really even think about it too much now. You know,
Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, you know, I've been shit on so much that it's just easier for me to not care what people think. You know, obviously we all care about what people think, but it's just like, I just realized, hey, dude, there's a strong hate community out there for me, and then there's a strong love community out there for me. So I just need to just be what I'm going to be, do what I'm going to do, and you know, at the end of the day, people are gonna, you know, people are gonna have their opinions. You know, like for a while, everybody thought I was fake, and
was that accurate? Were you trying to be someone you weren't?
I think I was. I think I was being extremely fake. You know, growing up. You know, growing up, I always looked at, you know, Michael Jordan and like Tiger Woods before his controversy. I looked at these guys as being the ideal champion. I thought I had to never swear in an interview, even though with my friends I swear all the time. I thought I had to dress a certain way and act a certain way and be a certain way. And I was afraid to be myself because, you know, I didn't realize, it took me a long time to realize, you know, that I am a champion, with or without that belt, you know, and I'm an imperfect champion. And champions come in different colors, different styles, different attitudes, different religions. different ways of living their religion. And it took me a long time to realize all this. And so, you know, when people were looking for inconsistencies in my character, they were there plain as day, because I wasn't being Jonathan Jones. You know, I was trying to be the guy, the Gatorade guy, the Nike guy. I was trying to be the face of the company, instead of just being myself. And so now that I've had this time away from the sport, I've gotten to watch as a fan, you know, instead of being in that limelight. I've gotten to realize, hey man, you know, myself, also, you know, not drinking, not smoking, not being a champion. I'm an all right guy, you know, just how I am. And now I'm ready to get back in there with a different outlook on everything and just be myself.
Have we ever seen the real Jonathan Jones? Is this the first time? Can you say, oh, you know, during this fight week, like, do you feel like
I would say you have. I would say you have. The thing about it, Ariel, is I'm a work in progress, like we all are. You know, every year I change, I grow. You know, you got me as a dad, you got me here doing an interview with you, you got me with my buddies, you got me at the gym. You know, I got so many different sides of myself. And at the end of the day, you know, most people don't know me. You see short clips of me on the internet, and you come up with all these assumptions of who I must be. But I got many sides of myself, and I have pride in being a very diverse, colorful character. So, so yes, you have seen the real me. You've probably just seen my professional hat, where right now I'm just ready to give it to you straight, give it to you raw.
How's life back home?
It's great. Life's great.
I mean, with your kids and your fiance.
Honestly, it's great. It's great. Just the sobriety has been one of the biggest changes in my life, and I feel amazing.
And you haven't fought. You know, by the time it's going to be over a year since, you know, you last fought. Without being too upfront, how are finances? Are you okay?
Come on, Ariel.
I'm looking out for you.
Well, I don't want to sound arrogant, but
Right,
I
you're
have some records.
All right. Yeah, I know.
Come on.
All right. Well, that's
I've been
good
a
to
champion
hear.
for a long time. I'm a smart man. I got a lot of smart people in my corner.
It was well documented that you lost your sponsors after this happened. Is your goal to
Yes.
get those same sponsors back? Do
Not
you want to work
necessarily.
with? What's
Not
the goal there?
necessarily.
Because that's a big part of your income, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It was a huge part of my income. My goal is to do things better. Do things better. I believe my best is yet to come in business, my career, as a husband, as a father. I think my best is yet to come. And I honestly have a feeling that things are going to be better now than it were before, because of my outlook on life and some of the things I've been through. I believe things are going to be better than they were before. So if I don't get back the companies that I worked with in the past, I believe that there's better companies out there for me. And I got nothing but time to prove this to be true.
Well, let's round the corner here. And again, I really appreciate the time. This
Yeah,
has been
no problem.
tremendous. You know, it's interesting. Floyd Mayweather just recently said
Yeah.
he's interested in working with you.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Hey, you know, who knows, man? Maybe Floyd realizes that I'm a controversial subject. You know, kind of like him. A lot of people love him, a lot of people hate him, but a lot of people tune in for his fights, and maybe he realizes that about me. And
Have you talked to him?
relates to that in some way. I haven't, but my business partners have already reached out to him, and you may see me in some money team gear.
Wow, you're joining the money team.
I'm not saying that I'm joining the money team, but it is definitely a possibility. I'm not opposed to it. You know, Floyd's career has been tremendous, and
All right, well, what about these pictures I see? Because, you know, I'm tempted to ask you to take off your shirt right now.
Whoa,
Because I gotta say, I've never seen you.
pause, my friend.
I've seen you with the.
Take a breath.
I've seen you with the pot belly,
Yeah.
and here we are. You know, 5 months before. I think you're gonna fight again. We'll get to that in a second. But you got, you know, abs. I see
Thanks,
you
man.
lifting all this stuff. I mean,
You're making me blush, man.
I'm just saying, it's
I
impressive,
know
and
you can't
everyone,
see it, but I'm blushing.
everyone's noticed it.
Thanks,
I feel like
man.
I'm watching like one of those old, you know, those old like boxing movies. Like, this is the montage. You go like, and I'm hearing the music, and every time I see your Instagram.
That's funny.
What's the motivation here?
Man, I'm just preparing for a major comeback, and you know, now that I'm completely like sober and refocused, you know, I'm attacking some of the things in my life that I've always wanted to attack. You know, I've always wanted to work on mixed martial arts in my off season. I never did it because I was too busy, you know, trying to keep up with the crowd. I always wanted to become a stronger athlete, and I never did it. there was things business-wise that I wanted to get taken care of, and I always felt like I didn't have the time. And now that I feel like my mental capacity can just handle more. So I'm just taking care of things that I've always wanted to do, and it results in just happiness. So fitness has been something for me that I knew always would make me happy, and sure enough, it makes me feel amazing to be fit, and it's helping save my life.
Do you know when your next fight is going to be?
I don't. There's rumor of April. I'm speculating myself that it's going to be April, and I'm actually training for it to be in April.
April 23rd?
That's what the word is. But like I said, nothing's been signed. But that's the word.
Could you imagine April 23rd at MSG?
I don't. You heard Daniel say he didn't want to fight me there.
Sure.
I think that's the most cowardly attitude ever. If he honestly felt like he was going to beat me, if he honestly felt like he had it in his heart to beat me, he would fight me anywhere. The fact that the small excuse of where we're fighting is in his mind, it just shows me that he's not ready to beat me. He's not going to beat me, no matter where we fight. So we might as well fight at the Garden and make a little bit more money, quite frankly.
Do you sit and listen to his interviews now that it's clear that he's next?
I don't. I very rarely listen to Daniel. He's a commentator. That's what he does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So unless he says something with some substance, I can care less what he.
He doesn't get under
his
your
job
skin.
is to talk.
Do you think he's trying to get under your skin?
It's not a good idea if he is, but
Has he?
no.
You don't think he's not your motivation? You don't think about him and him
No.
wearing your belt?
No, I beat him
every
already.
day? Yeah.
And if I was losing and knocked him out and it was a fluke, then it'd be different. But I beat him already. And now, I have a blueprint. Check this out. I pride myself on studying. I had to envision myself in front of him to come up with a game plan to beat him. Now I have a blueprint of exactly how to beat him. So I'm excited to see what fighting somebody with an actual blueprint this time is going to bring out in me. It's my first rematch in my career, and I think it's going to be pretty awesome.
So then why not come back as a heavyweight? New challenge. You look like you're getting bigger. Have you thought of that?
I have thought about it, but my first priority is getting back what I've lost.
So you want to get the light heavyweight title?
I do.
And then is it just get the belt and move on to heavyweight, or defend it a few times?
I think I have an unfinished business with Anthony Johnson.
Okay.
I think it's only fair to give him that opportunity. So I think that's the order it's going to go. Get that belt back and defend it against Anthony.
But before it's all said and done, you want to fight as a heavyweight?
Oh, yeah, that's inevitable.
That's inevitable.
That's going down.
You watch those guys and say, I could beat those guys.
Now that I've developed so much physical strength, I know that I could hold my own against these guys. I've competed against heavyweights throughout my whole career. My older brother was ranked #1 in the country throughout high school and in the wrestling world, and I wrestled him every day, and he was a full 275. I've sparred with heavyweights my whole mixed martial arts career. I very rarely will you see me sparring someone my size or smaller. So I'm totally comfortable going rounds with big guys. And now that I have the strength of a heavyweight, my confidence is through the roof. I think I will be faster. I'm physically stronger than a lot of them right now, and my skills, speak for itself.
How many more years do you want to fight for?
Man, honestly, now that I am sober, I honestly believe I just added a few more years of longevity to my career. So who knows?
Do you honestly believe we're going to see a better Jon Jones this time around because of that? Is that possible? Can we even see that? I mean, how do you get better than the best?
That's what I need to figure out.
Is that part of the motivation?
It is. I motivate myself to see how far I can take this.
All right, let's end on this. To the people watching, to everyone who's wondering how you've been, obviously they got the story here.
All right.
But if there's a message to those people, whether they're your supporters, your doubters, people who are kind of wishy-washy on you, what's the one thing that you want them to walk away from after watching this?
My message to my fans is that I am only human. I have definitely made a lot of mistakes. And I genuinely want to say sorry to all the people who believe in me so much that I have let down. I know I've let down a lot of parents who have kids that look up to me. I've let down a lot of fans across the world, and I'm sorry. And I know what I did, I can never really take back. But I do ask that you guys give me another chance to redeem myself and to show ultimately your kids that that you can do anything in life and that you can come back from anything no matter what you've done. You know, that you can always pick your head back up and change things for the better. And I'm excited to do that in the future. Someone told me, hey John, you know, you don't deserve a second chance. Second chances should be earned, not given. And that resonated with me. I was living like an idiot. I was being an asshole at that point in my life. And I made some big mistakes. But I see that now. I see it pretty clearly. And I'm excited to show you how great I can be and how great you can be, despite what's happened in our past. I guess that's it.
Welcome back, John.
Hey, thanks, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank
really
you, Mario.
appreciate it.
My pleasure, man. Professional basketball player. Do you have a dream?
I do is to become a radio show host.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. All right, so who all heard about the car accident I got into? Oh, okay. I think it's really cool because my dream was always to be a really good fighter. And that's what I do for work. And I am today a really, really good fighter. So I'm a living proof that whatever you dream, no matter how silly it is, that you can be it and you can do it. If you put your mind to it, you set goals and you work really, really hard. But now there's a new guy wearing my belt, a guy named Daniel Cormier, walking around calling himself the champ. Why? Because I beat myself. I lost my belt. I lost my endorsements. I lost respect. I embarrassed my family. One day my kids are gonna grow up and read about this. One thing that I would never ever be is a bully. I would never ever use my awesome fighting skills to hurt anybody else because I hate bullies. I hate watching it. I hate being around it. I think it stinks and I think it really needs to go away forever. So if you guys are ever faced with a situation where you know you're getting ready to do something that maybe you're not necessarily proud that you're getting ready to do, please do not pull, I'll call it a John Bones Jones. Don't do what I did. If there's a situation that you know that you can avoid, please think twice. Don't do what I did because right now I am totally regretting what happened that day. Totally regretting it. I've set myself years backwards I just went. And it hurts, and it really sucks. And if I could save one of you guys from making a dumb decision like I did that day, then me talking to you guys right now is so worth it. How are you guys? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Have any of you guys ever seen me before or heard of me? Ever seen? Raise your hand if you have. Okay. A fair group amount of people who have seen me before. My name is Jonathan Jones. My fight name is John Bones Jones. I am a 8-time world champion with the UFC. So I am a bona fide badass. I beat up people for a living. It's my job, and I love it. To become a UFC fighter, I had to first start by having a dream. My dream was to be a fighter. And in order to make that dream come true, I had to figure out how to set goals and how to accomplish goals. So some of my goals were to make sure that I eat really healthy. Some of my goals was making sure that I went to bed early so that I would have energy to train. My goals were to make sure that I studied as best as I can. I want to talk to you guys about consequences for your actions. I want to talk to you guys about overcoming situations, turning negative situations into positive. I had to have a lot of goals to make my dreams come true of being a fighter. Do you guys have any dreams? I became the first fighter sponsored by Nike. I was sponsored by Gatorade, EA Sports, Reebok. You know, my life was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. What's your dream?
I want to open wildlife reserves in Africa.
What's your dream?
Professional.
It's been a growing experience. I've learned so much. Yeah.
I noticed on your Twitter recently you said, "I've never been happier." And it's
Yeah.
amazing how, you know, a crummy situation can lead to this happiness. Why have you never been happier?
You know, well, I've had the opportunity to just kind of reevaluate life, look at myself outside of, you know, being this UFC champion and just kind of get back to Jonathan Jones as a person, as a father, and not just this athlete. So, yeah, definitely appreciate the time away, and I do feel great.
Did you miss the spotlight at all? Did you miss, the events and fight week, training camp? Like, are you starting to long for that a little bit?
I would say it was a weird night watching Daniel and Anthony fight for my championship.
Right.
So, that was one of those moments where I was just like, oh my goodness, I should be in there. But outside of that moment, no, I really don't miss it that much. I've had really good times with the UFC, and I'm looking at everything else as just kind of like a major bonus to get back in there and put a cherry on top of an already great career. So yeah, that's where
But even though you don't miss it, you're ready to come back.
I am ready to come back. Yeah, I'm ready to come back. My suspension is over. I'm still young and in my prime. And I believe potential is one of the worst things to waste. And to be one of the top ranked fighters in the world and not be out there competing, it would be sad. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna get back in there and stay true to my gift.
We've had the privilege of following you today, watching you talk to young kids, interacting with kids, and I know you have to do these things right now, but I'm wondering if you enjoy it, because from my perspective, it seems like you're having fun. There's a smile on your face, they're asking you fun questions. Do you like this process?
Yeah, I like it a lot. Even though it's community service and, court ordered, every time I go in there, I'm talking to these kids and everything comes from the heart. And, every appearance I've been, improvised, and whatever, I'm reading from that audience, I give it to them. And I've had lots of parents come up to me afterwards and teachers and just, hey, thank you so much. What you're saying is right on time for this age group, or, these kids need to hear that encouragement. So it's awesome, man. I feel as if I'm a really good guy to do this type of work, because I've had a lot of experience. I've been through a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and I think the people can tell that it's real.
I know you've done it around 30 or so times at this point.
Yeah, 28.
28 to be exact. I'm happy you're counting. Is it hard for you? Because I know at first, like even with the media talking, like you didn't really love doing press conferences and interviews.
Right.
This might be helping that along the way, but is it hard to speak in front of a public like that and really pour your heart and soul out?
Yeah, it's different, it's different for me to do this, but in a way it's therapeutic. Every time I get to talk to these kids and talk to them about, the way the things I did wrong, the things I did right, it's like, it just reminds me of the way things should be, the mindset people should have and things like that. Like a lot of times when I'm talking to these kids, I'm talking to myself in a way. And it's just been awesome for me to grow, it's been a blessing. So a lot of times when people are getting bullied, they're too afraid to stand up for themselves. So I think we owe it to our friends, which I hope all you guys are friends in here, right? Yes. We owe it to each other to protect each other. Last thing I want to talk to you guys about is turning around situations. Maybe some of you guys have done some things that you're not too proud of. Maybe you have failed a test or failed in sports, or maybe you stole something, or maybe you hurt somebody, or no matter what you've done to let yourself down, know that there is always tomorrow. There's always tomorrow, and there's always a way to make things better. Raise your hand if you hate bullies. All right. So, can you guys make me a promise? Can you promise that you will always protect your friends when you see them getting bullied? Yes. Awesome. I guess this place is bully-free. Pinky's fair with all you guys. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys have learned something from my story. Thank you so much for your time.
1, 2, 3.
John Jones.
Very Hawani.
It is good to see you, my friend.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
It has been a while.
Yes, a long time.
Yes. Well, thank you for the time today. We're here in beautiful Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's been a long time coming, and a lot of people want to hear from you, so I appreciate the time greatly, as always. Let me ask you this right off the top. The last 6 months for you, how would you characterize them?
It has been eventful for sure. It has been a major learning situation.